Hi guys, I'm Judy Elmore and I'm a freelance editor with Black Wolf Editorial Services. We have been talking about various different stages that are associated with the editing process and what it's going to take to really get your book out there in the public. Today, I want to talk to you about what the steps are of self-publication. There is nothing wrong with traditional publication. In fact, I'm quite happy and love to go that direction myself. And there is nothing wrong with self publication. It really is a personality thing. So, what is it going to take? Just as a reminder, these are the stages of editing from the concept through to the first draft, and of course, your developmental editing through copy editing and your proofreading. If you were looking at traditional versus self publication, this section that's circled by the read is what's going to be different between the two paths. Producing the internal story or the internal manuscript is going to be the same effort and same process for both, or let's hope that it is the same. We're going to be looking at the differences in this in section here. If you are going down the road of self-publication, the production of your product and your book is your product, it is 100% your responsibility. You are responsible for all aspects of this. That includes the book cover design, your editing, the formatting and typesetting, the distribution, and the marketing. And by the way, folks, even if you are going down the road of ebooks only, you are still looking at formatting and typesetting because it's a definite art to having an ebook look correct when you are producing it. You might be responsible for it, but you can outsource it. You do not have to do this 100% yourself. If you do not have the skills of the graphic design side, hire a book designer. Hire somebody to do that cover for you. If you do not have the technical skills associated with typesetting correctly, then hire someone. If you need an editor to go through things, hire people. You do not have to do it all yourself. You need to invest some finances into your project, especially if you want it to succeed. If you're on a budget, don't skimp on your cover and definitely don't skimp on the editing itself. These are the two areas that are going to cost the most amount of money and that you need to put the money into them. The cover is what people are going to see when they're marketing it. That's the little thumbnail image that you see on Amazon. And if it's not a nice, pretty image, people aren't going to want to buy it. Print on demand, or pod as it's also known, is basically when you're going through and changing your book into a print format and selling it that way. But it only gets printed when somebody orders it. I would never, in today's day and age, I would never do a block purchase of, say, thousands of books like the big publishing houses would, because you know what? You could be easily be stuck with thousands of books sitting in your garage collecting dust or getting water damaged. Not a good idea. It's better to go with these print on demand services. There are several different options out there. You've got things like Lulu, Ingram Spark, uh, Amazon KDP, which is formerly known as CreateSpace. There, I'm not going to go into the benefits and merits of working with these different companies because they all have their different advantages and disadvantages. Regardless who you choose, investigate the costs associated with shipping and any custom charges, particularly if you're an international person. Amazon in particular, their printing offices are in the US. So for me, sending things to New Zealand, the cost of postage was just crazy and insane. So I deliberately chose to go with someone who had a printing house in Australia to bring that cost of shipping down. But I also know that if I brought into the country too many books at once and I spent too much on them, and that included the shipping charge, I could easily be landed with this customs bill that I wasn't expecting. So these are the sorts of things you need to be aware of. For the printed book, you will need a cover design that includes the front, the back, and the spine. It is a completely different concept to just the front cover that you get on ebooks. You need to have your internal design done. So that's the internal typesetting, which will normally include a title page, a copyright page, and of course your manuscript content. On your back cover, you will have a blurb, but you need that back cover blurb for your book's page as well. It's going to be the same or almost the same information on the back. And of course, for a printed book, you need an ISBN. These are special numbers that are tagged to the books, and we'll come back to ISBNs in a sec because there is hidden traps associated with this. But you need a different ISBN for each format of the book that you publish. Now, that might be hardcover, softcover, electronic. It might be different sizes, and you need a new ISBN for each one. If it's got a different cover slapped on it, then it will need a different ISBN because it's a different product. Always verify your proofs prior to your distribution. And trust me, I'm speaking from experience on this one. You could easily have things where you had the margins wrong and around the flipped the wrong way, or in my case, you could have your images, if you have included images in your manuscript, the images are insufficient quality and they come up really poor. So these are all things that you need to look at. You have to have that knowledge and look at that proof. Digital ebook is probably where most people are going to publish. In fact, so many people now are reading in digital format that you would be missing out on a large portion of your population if you don't have an ebook ready to go. There are several options for this. You have your Amazon, where you can go straight to Amazon. You have Ingram Spark, who will do distribution to everything. You have Kobo Writing Life, Draft to Digital, Smashwords. Again, I'm not going to go into the benefits and merits of each of these companies because they all do different things. One thing that you need to understand is that some of them are retailers as well that you can sell through directly, while others are just distributors. So the likes of Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital in particular are just distributors, where Smashwords does have its own store, but they are also a distributor. All of these platforms are constantly changing, and that's why I'm not going to go into the benefits of this, because some of them are going to be better than others for the newer technology coming around. Ask for recommendations and experiences from those around you. You will probably find that you're surrounded by some who have self-published, and they'll have experience and they'll have knowledge about these different programs, and they can help you through the process. For an ebook, you will need just the front cover. You won't need a back cover design, but you will need that back cover blurb idea. And that is because that's what goes onto the marketing page for your ebook itself. You will also need your internal design. You will need some sort of title page configuration, your copyright information, of course, your manuscript content. The file requirements for these will depend on the distributor that you're using, because some of them will take doc or a docx file, while others, in particular, I know Ingram Sparks like this, they insist that you upload the EPUB 3 file. Again, you will need an ISBN for this, and it needs to be different to that of your ebook. Now, not all distributors are going to require an ISBN. Amazon doesn't, for ebooks only. Ingram Spark, on the other hand, does. And like I said before, it does need to be a different ISBN to your print book. Always check your ebook file. It's like the print. You know, you get that print proof and you need to double check it. Make sure things did not come out hinky when you uploaded those files. You need to do exactly the same with your ebook. And one of the things that you need to check in particular is your contents indexing, because all ebook readers have this go-to, and there's going to be some sort of index that's there, but you don't normally see it in the file. It's dealt with in a different way. And if you don't check that, you could have some rather interesting things. Make sure your embedded links work, which your context indexing is effectively embedded links. Audiobooks. This is a new area of publishing as a whole. Not all self-published authors are going to head down this road because it is quite expensive to get decent audio recordings. If you do decide to head down the road of audiobooks, what you will need is you'll need a cover design. Now, this is going to be a different size, and that's proportions are completely different to that of your digital and your print books. You cannot use the same cover that you would that's on your digital and your print books. You can't use the same cover on your audiobook. It doesn't work. You'll need the back cover blurb again. Now you can use the same back cover blurb that you've used on everything else, but you need it for your marketing page. And of course you need your audio content, and it needs to be high quality audio or the distributors involved are going to reject your file. This is why some people haven't done this yet. Let's talk about some of these interesting hidden traps. Amazon. We all call it the big Zon for a reason. No matter what you think of Amazon, you want your books on Amazon. Whether you've gone through a distributor and they're actually putting the books on Amazon for you, or whether you've gone direct to Amazon and you're uploading it and you're doing it yourself, doesn't matter. You want it on Amazon, because if you don't, you're going to be missing out on a large proportion of the market. You are talking about 50% of readers are on Amazon. Participation in what they call KU or Kindle Unlimited means that your books are exclusive to Amazon. That is not necessarily a good thing, but it could also be a great thing. It's a decision you're going to have to make. If you're going to KDP wide, that means your books can be distributed to other networks. Now you can ask Amazon to distribute them for you, or you can distribute them yourself. There are two different ways of doing that. The decision about what is best and what's going to be best for you, you are the only one that's going to be able to make that. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. You're the only one that can make that decision as to what's going to be effective for you. For the moment, I want to take some time to talk about ISBNs. ISBNs themselves are assigned to a book, its format, its publisher, and the publisher's location. These are numbers that will tell anybody who is wanting to purchase your book, or for that matter, a library that's going to look up your book, they're going to get general library information about everything associated with your book, including who the main publisher is. You need a separate ISBN for each format of the book that you are releasing. So if you're going paperback, but you're putting it in two different sizes, then you need two different ISBNs. If you're going paperback, hardback, you need two different ISBNs. You need an ISBN for its ebook. You need one for audio. You need one for PDF. If you are actually publishing your book as a PDF, it has a different ISBN. But you do not need a different ISBN for the countries, for the different countries that your book is being sold, where they can purchase it, as long as it's the same format in the two countries. You know, if you decide to go to, say, Book Depository to buy, I don't know, my own book, it will have exactly the same ISBN as to what's available as the book that's on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble. If you get your ISBN from Amazon or some other distributor, then you are actually naming them as the publisher. And that is the biggest hidden trap that's associated. If you don't believe me, next time you take a look at Amazon books in particular, go and look at who is the publisher for the paperback version of the book. If the publisher says Create Space Independent Publishing Platform, then guess what? They have acquired the ISBN through Amazon, and the publisher is Amazon, not you. That is something you need to be aware of. Problem is that ISBNs, they're not cheap. Each country has a different procedure, and you are going to be looking at the ISBNs for the country in which you reside. You do not need different ISBNs for different countries, just the different formats. But like I said, you're going to go for the country in which you reside in, or the where you want your publishing house to be based in. So if you want your book to be looking like it's published by somebody in the US, then you're going to purchase US based ISBN numbers. And they're not cheap. It's $125 for just one ISBN. Or you're going to go $295 for 10 ISBNs. That's going to add up pretty quick, especially if you have a back catalog of, say, 20 books. In the UK, you are looking at £89 for just one ISBN. Yeah, okay. And then £150 for 10 ISBNs. When you're looking at this, you can sort of understand why people just get the free ISBNs from Amazon and why they just name Amazon as their publisher. Australian based, this is what you're looking at. Interesting thing though, if you're in New Zealand, which is where I am, you can actually get your ISBN numbers for free. There is only one condition on getting an ISBN number, and that is that you submit a copy of your book to the National Library. I'm sorry, but you submit your copy of your book to the National Library and you get a free ISBN. Where is the negative in this? I don't quite see it, but yet there are some people who will not do this. They can't be bothered. It's like, but why? It's free. But you do have to prove that you live in New Zealand to get those free ISBNs. Sorry guys, it's not open to everyone. I'm going to take a brief moment to talk about copyright because copyright laws is an interesting area that people get confused in. There are some hidden traps here that people aren't aware of. According to copyright law, and this is worldwide, the moment your manuscript is in a tangible format, you are covered under copyright law. That is even in the US. You do not need to register your copyright, okay? There will be people out there who actually say, oh no, that's not true for the US. It's like, well, actually it is. Read the copyright laws. The moment it's in a tangible format, it's covered. What the registrations do is that it gives you the right to sue in a court of law, in a US court of law. It gives you the right to ask for defamation and damages associated with somebody infringing on your copyright. Regardless, doesn't matter if you've got that registration or not. If you can prove you own the copyright, you can ask for someone to cease and desist. They can take down, you can ask for somebody to take that copyright down and to no longer use it. But you can't claim for damages if you haven't got the registration in US Copyright Court of Law. This is where it gets a little bit muddled because over 100 countries have signed and ratified one or more international copyright treaties. For the most part, if you are covered under copyright laws in your home country, then you are covered under copyright laws in most foreign countries. So I have copyrights here in New Zealand because that's where I live. I live in New Zealand, so my copyrights are covered under New Zealand law. And as a consequence, my copyrights are covered under US law. Make sure you know what your rules are for your home country. This is where it gets really confusing. Not all countries, and that includes Australia and New Zealand, have got a formal registration process. They're assuming that the fact that you have it in a tangible format, that's all you need. There are reforms going on at the moment about New Zealand copyright laws, and I don't know what all of them are at this stage. But yeah, it's an interesting beast. There is no formal registration process. This can cause an issue when you're working with the big Zon, because all you need is one little annoying person to come along and say, that's my manuscript, and the big Zon has to actually act on it. They've got no choice. If you are using a pseudonym, but yet everything is going through on your real name from the legal perspective, so your accounts and the monies and all that sort of thing, there's some issues here. A dated file on your computer is not enough to prove that you have the copyright. There are so many different things that can be an issue, and it can be a real fight as well. I personally use something called Copyright Index, and it is recognized in 187 countries in the world, including China, Indonesia, Taiwan, and Thailand. As part of the package that I have with them, I have lawyers that I can contact and say, hey, I'm noticing a copyright infringement over here. Can you help me deal with that, please? I have what they call the full license, which gives me an unlimited number of copyrights and copyright certificates. And I took a look recently and it was $98 US for that package, and it's $150 New Zealand for that package. Unlimited number of copyright registrations. You get a certificate that comes in your email, and you have a database, a record of when it was lodged, when everything was there, and it is a formalized process. As I said, unlimited copyright with a full license. And if you are interested in investigating this, I think it is a cost affordable option instead of having to register everything in the US and the US Copyright Office. If you're interested in taking a look at this, do take a look at copyrightindex.com. That's where the site is. And this site's been operational since 1999, and I would trust it. That's why I'm recommending it. Regardless whether you're doing self-publication or traditional publication, there are some things that both sides need to be looking at. One of them is that you are responsible yourself for your own author pages. Now, those are on Amazon, Goodreads, and if you have an account, a BookBud account. You are also responsible for your own social media. You might get somebody on the other end helping you and sort of saying, hey, you might want to consider this, or you might want to think about doing this now. And they might give you a little bit of guidance. Notice I said might, because there's no guarantee. They should be able, especially if you're going down the road of traditional publication, you should get some marketing materials that you can share on your social media. But it is your responsibility to manage your social media. It is also your responsibility to manage your website. Your website is your website. They've got their own stuff. They're not going to do it for you. And it's the same with the self-publication. You need to manage your own things. And your newsletter email list is your list. I released this video at the same time as I released the steps in traditional publication. So there are two different aspects that you might want to consider, and both videos are available for you to take a look at. In the meantime, if you have any questions about what we discussed today or any of the other videos in this series, please feel free to contact me, and that's on Twitter at blackwolf_ed, or you can find me on Facebook, and that's Black Wolf Editorial, or you can find me on my website, and that's blackwolfeditorial.com. Alternatively, if you're interested in my personal projects, you can find me on Twitter, and that's at Judy L. Moore, or you can find me on my website, my personal website, and that's judylmoore.com. Meanwhile, I look forward to helping you take your writing to the next level.